If it's January, there's something wrong in Cleveland. The Cavaliers underwent a rough January that goes beyond the 6-8 record 30-20 overall they posted. They lost Kevin Love with a hand injury, which could keep him out through March. Before that, Love missed a practice and was the subject of an internal team drama. New guard Isaiah Thomas, expected to rescue the team upon his return early in the month, instead has been a dud, averaging 15.4 points on 36.3% shooting. And, for good measure, a rumor has popped up suggesting that star forward LeBron James could meet with the Warriors when he hits free agency this summer. More, LeBron to Clippers. LeBron leads Cavs past Heat. As a wise cartoon philosopher once said, good grief. With their chemistry problems, defensive problems and problems with competition from Boston and Toronto, things look dire for the Cavs, who have represented the East for the last 3 years in the NBA Finals. But history has told us to hold off on the panic button. Cleveland has been here before, undergoing some existential crisis or other that seems to open a pathway for a rival to get past them in the postseason and make their way into the finals. Yet the Cavs have won out every time, with a daunting 36-5 mark in the East playoffs the last 3 springs. This may be different. The problems of this team go much deeper than those of the recent past. But the Cavs have always managed, and they've now won 3 of the last 4 games. Taking a look back at how the Cavs bounced back after each of the low points in the last 3 years gives some hope, at least that Cleveland is headed for an upswing. 2014-15 Cavs dates, December 28 to January 13 record, 1-9 net rating, -14.4 95.1 offensive, 109.5 defensive bounce back, 18-2 net rating, +12.3 112.6 offensive, 100.3 defensive upshot. This Cavs slump comes with an asterisk because 8 of the games came with James sitting out with a foot injury. It was also during this time that Cleveland acquired Iman Shumpert, who was out with a shoulder injury, and J.R. Smith from the Knicks in a 3-team trade that sent Dion Waiters, who never really found his place in the rotation, to the Thunder. Shumpert and Smith added depth, and once everyone was healthy, the Cavs hit their stride. 2015-16 Cavs dates, November 14 to December 5 record, 5-6 net rating, -0.3 102.5 offensive, 102.8 defensive bounce back, 14-2 net rating, +10.6 108.5 offensive, 97.9 defensive upshot. Their WASNT. Much that was remarkable about this bad stretch for the Cavs, which started with a double overtime loss at Milwaukee in the second half of a back-to-back. It ended after a 3-game losing streak, including a loss at Miami that James skipped because of rest. James created a meaningless media stir by wearing a Miami winner's hat in his post-game interview the previous night. Cleveland bounced right back to its winning ways after the Miami game, but that was not the end of the intrigue for this. On January 22, after a win over the Clippers brought the Cavs to 32-11, coach David Blatt was fired. Still, the Cavs rallied to win the franchise's first championship. 2016-17 Cavs dates, January 4 to January 25 record, 4-7 net rating, -5.0 105.4 offensive, 110.4 defensive bounce back, 10-2 net rating, +10.5 118.1 offensive, 107.6 defensive upshot. This was the most dramatic of mid-season slumps, because at the tail end of it, following a loss to New Orleans, which was playing without star Anthony Davis, James sounded off to the media, complaining that the team was top-heavy and lacking enough talent to repeat as champions. He told the team's beat reporters that, "We need a f***ing playmaker." This came shortly after the Cavs had wrung out the last few assets in order to obtain Kyle Korver from Atlanta. The Cavs did play well immediately after their slump, though they continued to struggle into March and April. In the end, they returned to the finals and were knocked out by the Warriors in 5 games. 2017-18 Cavs dates, December 19 to January 25 record, 4-11 net rating, -8.3 105.8 offensive, 114.0 defensive bounce back, 3-1 net rating, +5.3 106.8 offensive, 101.5 defensive upshot. 4 games does not quite qualify as a rebound, and the 3 wins were at home against middling East teams Indiana and Detroit, and a difficult win over the Heat on Wednesday. Cleveland has a 6-game stretch before the All-Star break that should better indicate where the Cavs are, because they'll have home games against Houston and Minnesota and roadies against Orlando, Atlanta, Boston and Oklahoma City.